Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Committee Reads. I am your host KWCs, and with me today I have GVR and Nagoda. And today we will be going over match 156, Orga vs. Hedorah by Thomas Eckert. It was a dark, cold night in Detroit. Skeletons of street gangs, police officers, and other citizens littered the streets. In the middle of bloodshed stood a dark, shapeless giant. Many idiotic humans tried to fight the insidious beast, but died from the toxic fumes released from its body. Hedorah cared little for the carnage he caused. All he wanted to do was feast on the harmful byproducts of mankind's civilizations. The smog monster closed his bright red eyes, savoring the vehicles and smog they produced. A loud bellow surprised him, snapping him out of his bliss and making him turn his head. He noticed another giant approaching him, one with leathery skin as gray as his own, with massive fists, sporting dagger-like claws, a strange-looking hole on its shoulder, and a reptilian-like head. Orga waded through the buildings, crushing them carelessly with his giant hands. He let loose a few low bellows from his maw at Hedorah. The smog monster narrowed his eyes. Something about this creature looked familiar, but a closer inspection showed it wasn't the beast that defeated him. Nonetheless, he unleashed a threatening gurgle toward the newcomer to leave his new home. Orga merely bellowed back, showing his refusal to depart. Hedorah gurgled threateningly and leapt through the air. Orga squealed in surprise as the smog monster's slimy bulk rained down on him. He then hollered painfully from the acidic properties of his foe's wet flesh. It easily burned away his skin. Orga's massive fist sank into Hedorah's body, his clawed fingertips sticking out of the pollutant feeder's back. The smog monster had no time to scream before Hedorah tore himself free. Orga tore himself free from Hedorah's slimy clutches in a showcase of his tremendous strength. Orga bellowed his freedom while Hedorah's pieces littered the city's grounds. The Goliath took a few moments to recollect his breath as his remarkable healing factor did its best to heal his chemical burn wounds. He looked at his hands in shock. His healing ability regenerated so slowly bone still gleamed across his claws. Then something caught the alien's eye. The dozens of scattered pieces that made up Hedorah oozed along the ground and met each other in the main street. Orga hissed as the pieces converged and slowly rebuilt Hedorah's body, but his anger gradually vanished. This beast could reform itself when destroyed. The alien's eyes shined with intrigue while Hedorah opened his and focused on his opponent. Pass.
Hedorah acted first and spewed a ball of acidic sludge onto Orga's mug. The Godzilla clone shrieked from the burning sensation on his face. He wiped the sludge away and he snarled, revealing part of his skull from the acidic grime. Hedorah gurgled and stepped forward, preparing to bombard Orga with more sludge, merely for the hunchback alien's shoulder to glow. Hedorah couldn't resist staring at the yellow brilliance. Orga bent over and unleashed a powerful concussive beam from his shoulder. The smog monster shrieked from the blast, striking his chest. A concussive shockwave rippled across the city while Hedorah toppled over a few buildings, crushing them under his weight. Orga stepped forward, watching his opponent trying to right himself. Hedorah's body glowed purple, and to Orga's surprise, the amorphous creature transformed into a saucer shape. The smog monster immediately took flight, emitting sulfuric mist from his body. Orga watched the now airborne beast approaching him. Before he could attack, a crimson bolt sprang from Hedorah's eye and struck Orga's backside, causing the howling beast to collapse onto his side in pain. Hedorah soared around the fallen Orga and unleashed more red beams onto him. Each blast that hit created a large, thick cloud of toxic gas that shrouded the wailing Orga. The toxins inside the smoke caused Orga to cough in pain as the healing factor raced to keep up with the chemical damage. Trembling from the ground signaled Hedorah to cease his attack and land. Another glowing purple flash bathed his body, and Hedorah reverted back to his full height. The villainous sludge gazed at the toxic vapor he created. It slowly began to disappear. When Hedorah caught a glimpse of Orga, he saw the beast had passed out from the poisonous mist entering his system. Hedorah wandered over and echoed a victorious gurgle, eager to reduce his opponent to bones. Hedorah wandered closer to his fallen enemy, spewing out chunks of his acidic slime onto his foe. The burning stirred Orga out of his unconsciousness, and he groaned in pain. He did his best to fight the crisping agony, trying to stand erect. Hedorah simply left his foe's pathetic recovery. When Hedorah was close enough to Orga, he unleashed a torrent of vile sludge onto him. Orga was covered head to toe in the putrid liquid, making him grunt in disgust as he struggled to stand up. When Orga was able to slowly rise, Hedorah lashed out with his hand and struck his head, forcing the alien back face first into the grime. Orga raised his head from the sludge with gallons of it dripping off, revealing the nasty scar he received from the smog monster's hit. Hedorah stood over his enemy, surprised how quickly the scars on its head were healing. The living sludge's eyes glowed with energy, ready to finish the job. Pass.
One more.
Okay. Suddenly, in a burst of speed, Orga leaped into the air and smashed his bulk into Hedorah. The smog monster squealed in surprise as the alien pinned him down. Orga unleashed a mighty bellow and sank his teeth into Hedorah's body. Hedorah shrieked in surprise as Orga's teeth sunk into its form. Hedorah quickly knocked the beast away, but a piece of his body detached and remained in Orga's maw. Pass.
Hedorah gazed at Orga with pure fright. The time the Millennium mutant spent siphoning away some of his traits were put to good use. Orga's body became slimier, with his legs joining together, while his eyes became bright red. Hedorah unleashed his acidic slime onto Orga, but instead of burning him like before, Orga's body absorbed it. Orga pounced onto Hedorah with a vicious bellow. The smog monster thrashed around, trying to escape, his acidic touch having no effect on Orga. Orga's mouth opened widely, and sludge poured onto Hedorah. Normally, Hedorah welcomed more sludge into his body, but this sludge was different, and for good reason. Because Hedorah's traits had become a part of Orga's genetic code, Orga was now made of microscopic organisms. Even worse for Hedorah, that word.
Infinitesimal?
Infinitesimal?
That word.
Infinitesimal,
Yeah,
there you go.
Infinitesimal creatures carried Orga's ability to absorb DNA. Now, Orga's swarm of tiny Millennium hybrids were absorbing Hedorah's own. Feasting on the creatures that made up Hedorah, Orga's swarm quickly multiplied and spread throughout the helpless Kaiju. Hedorah stopped his struggling as he felt something troubling happening inside him. Then, to his horror, he was beginning to lose density. Orga's swarm was actually eating him alive. His organs, his flesh, his eyes. Orga feasted upon everything. His eyes were quickly devoured by Orga's swarm as they exited out the empty sockets. His microscopic army returned to their home and emerged with the mutated alien, passing on more traits and making him bigger and stronger. The process continued, but when it finally ended, Hedorah had been completely absorbed by Orga. Orga unleashed a bellowing gurgle from his maw before his body flashed purple. He transformed into his new flying stage and took off, ready to take on the world. Winner, Orga.
I will, before I pass it on to GVR, we'll just go down the list because I'd like to have GVR speak first with this one. I do have to say, one of the strongest elements of this match is it's spoiled within the banner, but hot dang is it well worth it. So, GVR, what'd you think of 156?
I quite liked it. Yeah, the fight itself is well done, and yeah, the best part is easily the very ending with Orga absorbing Hedorah and basically becoming this. Well, yeah, he becomes Hedorga.
Yeah.
And the match actually does it interestingly with the fact that Hedorah is a bunch of microscopic creatures, so Orga absorbing Hedorah would become the same.
Yeah.
And each of those microscopic creatures would have the same power to absorb.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, totally. It's rational, it makes sense, and Hedorah, I do believe, does have some kind of genetic component to it despite being made of sludge. It does have internal organs. Very clearly has organs, so.
Yeah, because one would immediately think, well, Hedorah is a monster that Orga couldn't possibly eat, because Orga would just die. But no, because he just needs to get enough of Hedorah's DNA to not die, to be able to resist the effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it's easily, again, I think it's a visual very helpfully boosted by freaking more witchcraft and brewery from the cauldron of Jackson Morris, because my gosh, that sludge Hedorah, or the sludged Orga looks amazing. Oh.
Yeah, the banner helps it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, 'cause it visualizes what feels like impossible, and then it's like, oh, you can visualize the madness that is this weird Hedorah.
Yeah, no, I would love to see a follow-up to this match with just exploring more of Orga with Hedorah's powers.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt, without a doubt.
Yeah, no, good stuff. All right, yeah, the match itself very well written. I enjoy how sinister it makes both of the combatants feel. So yeah, good stuff, Thomas Eckert.
So, with my own thoughts, once again, amazing. It cannot be understood enough how amazing Jackson Morris's banner is, and I think how much of that intrigues. I would say this one really helped intrigues, like reading it too, because it's like, wait, that happens? How does that work? And you read it, it's like, oh, you know. There's just that realization. It's like, ooh, you know. Again, following up on something like Hedorah would be amazing. I would love to see more matches featuring this because it is terrifying.
It's the same with match 12, where it's like, I want to see more of this.
Right. It's always teased. It's never followed up on. It's very rarely followed up on. Let's put it at that. But my goodness, it is an amazing, like, mental visual. That would be so sick to see in something else. But yeah, the actual fight from Thomas Eckert is really solid. I think it's conveyed well, and I think does enough to capture the imagination. Again, with the banner really helping backing it up. So.
Yeah, it's not like match 12 where it's like we don't even get to see anything. We get to see Hedorah do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that thing is so awesome. We're like, more, please.
More. It's like the most lethal combination of a monster you could ask for.
Yeah, especially with the banner just depicting it as this ghostly thing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, that's all around fantastic stuff from both Thomas Eckert and Jackson Morris. So, those two combined, you get a very solid, memorable match. So, with a great ending.
I think Birdman nailed it on the head best. Jackson Morris's banners look like he got a picture of the match itself.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so. Those words ring very true. Nagoda, what'd you think of match 156?
I really like the battle itself, how it was just like he was like being burned, melted, and then he turned the entire tides by just eating a bit of Hedorah and being able to just go into that microscopic form to just devour the entire creature outright. Plus, the black magic on that banner is amazing.
Yeah. Did you have any additional thoughts or anything else, really, or?
This was really fun. This match is just really fun to read through.
All right. Yeah. I think with that said, this has been match 156, and will you see you guys next time for match 157. Till then, everyone.